Hello, I'm Robert McLuhan. I'm at Paddington Station in London on my way to Swansea in Wales for the annual conference of the Society for Psychical Research. They've got a series of talks lined up on research into things like near-death experiences, ghosts and apparitions, all sorts of spooky stuff. We're just coming into Swansea University now. I'm going to chat to some of the speakers and members of the audience too, and I want to ask them what they thought about the presentations and the ideas being presented. But there's one thing in particular that I want to ask them, which is what they think about psychical research as a scientific endeavour. It seems to me that in the last few years it's hit a bit of a slump. There's not very much said about it in the media, and what it is tends to be quite sceptical. So what can psychic researchers do to attract more interest and attention in what they do and generate more influence? I'll be really interested to hear what people have to say.
Heavy breathing on the back of my neck in my bedroom, which is quite terrifying when you're a small girl.
The mysterious voice heard through the speakers during the funeral service was in fact a stewardess on a passing plane reading the eulogy. Everyone was suddenly told to fasten their seatbelts.
So I'm here with my friend Phil Brisk, and I'm asking him this question. Phil, what do you think about psychical research?
It's in a very poor state at the moment, and I think the reason it's in a poor state is fairly obvious for anyone who cares to look. The battle of ideas, the ideological war, has been won or is being won by the people who call themselves skeptics but who aren't skeptics. I do think there needs to be a more aggressive, robust response, and I think people like Rupert Sheldrake, I wish there were more Rupert Sheldrakes in the world, people who are highly credentialed, impeccable scientists, who can actually argue a coherent position and have got the credentials to back them up. But even people like Rupert Sheldrake be drowned out by the abusive response he gets when he opens his mouth, as we saw when he was actually, his TED talk was censored a few months ago.
I feel a bit despondent for two reasons. First of all, there are a couple of universities that are setting up units for this anomalous research. A lot of places still won't touch it with a barge pole, but I also think that's a bad thing, because a lot of the research now is being done by psychologists, and the psychologists have no background whatsoever in the field, and I think in some ways they're ruining it because they're very much biasing it towards the expectation that the people who are experiencing these things are necessarily suffering from delusions, and it's something to be explained away.
Interest will only happen naturally if we've got interesting results to present to people. I wish we were getting more interesting results than we are. We're getting small effects. There's nothing new. Ben has been doing some interesting work. Dick Bierman's been doing some interesting work. But nothing is really catching the public eye. When I started the field back in the 70s, it was bursting with new ideas. Stuff like Helmut Schmidt, Rex Stanford, the observational theories, the experimenter effect issues. The dream research was finishing. There's so many things happening, and it's quiet now.
Yeah.
And so where are the new ideas? Where's the new stuff that's going to lead to some sort of better understanding?
There is research taking place in parapsychology and psychical research, and there's activity going on. I think what's difficult is that the numbers of people actively involved in the field are so small that our approach is very scattered. And I think what needs to be done is some form of collaboration where researchers form groups and take more systematic approaches to their work. So they decide on a programme of study or a particular area of interest, whether it's Ganzfeld or EVP, and try to collaborate and progress together, focusing attention on that particular topic rather than skipping from one topic to another.
Well, I'm actually quite optimistic about where we are with psychical research and parapsychology currently, and I think there's some good indicators of that. For instance, in this country, the last count there was about 16 universities where parapsychology was either being taught or researched, and I think that's a good indicator, and that's one of the things we should be doing is getting into the academy, which we are in the UK, although unfortunately that situation isn't happening in the US, which is probably holding back the regeneration of the field with new researchers. So personally I have 4 PhD students, so I'm very kind of positive and optimistic about the future in that sense. The other thing is, of course, and this has always been a bit of a bugbear, is publishing in non-specialist journals, in mainstream psychology or physics journals. And that's one area where I think we have made some advances in recent years. So thinking of the papers by Darrell Bem, for instance. But we need to see more of that, so more publishing in mainstream.
Well, that was the conference. I enjoyed the talks and I agreed with a lot of the comments we heard there. I think it might be helpful if parapsychologists could perhaps cooperate on promising lines of research. And I do think the field needs to be more savvy about how it presents itself to the public and the media. But personally, I feel quite confident about the future. I think these things go in cycles, and we may be due for an upswing. It's true that a certain kind of militant and uninformed scepticism has had the upper hand in the past few years, but I sense a bit of a pushback building, so that could change. And we shouldn't forget that this is about human experience. People really want to know about these things. An anomalous event like a precognitive dream or the sudden unexpected appearance of a friend or relative at the time of their death, or a small child apparently talking about a previous life. These things do happen, and we haven't at all got to grips with them. So there's a lot of work to do.